Okay, good morning, Donte. If you can make a few opening comments and then we'll take questions from our media group. Thank you.
First off, thank you all for joining us this morning. You know, you all are probably more of a morning person than I am, that's for sure. I'm definitely not a morning person. I'm a night owl. So this is all new to me to have to talk so much nowadays in the morning, but that's okay. It's for a good cause. I'm happy that, to be the head coach right now here at the University of Southern California. And this has always been a dream of mine. So, I'm looking forward to this challenge, just like this team is looking forward to this challenge. And, practice this week has been pretty darn good. I think the energy has been high. You start off with a kind of a little bit down luster of the things that, portrayed from last week. And, the guys have truly put that behind us. We have moved on to, then took the 1-0 mentality of the day, and you can see it. How Tuesday practice went, it started off kind of slow, and to me, the energy picked up as the practice went. And then you look at Wednesday's practice, it was no low in it at all. From the get-go right away, it was high energy. And, both days we were in full pads, so guys were flying around. At the same time, we were studying, we was trying to stay up as much as possible, at the same time being physical, and it was competitive. It almost seemed like a game-type atmosphere. I'm all about making sure practice is as hard as possible on Tuesday and Wednesday so the game is easy. And, the transition, to be honest, has been good. And it's mainly been good because the guys on this team, the locker room, and most importantly, the coaches. The coaches, have, not only handled their responsibilities, but a lot of these guys have took on more responsibilities. You take somebody like Craig Nyvar, now he's, kind of took on the role of coaching the whole secondary. Mike Hutchinson has now became from a quality control to a linebacker coach, which, nowadays the quality control guy, you can't even coach really. So, a lot of guys have took on a bigger role here and they embraced it. They embraced it. So, I'm pleased with that. Washington State presents a couple of challenges for us. That's for darn sure. I mean, they have, a quarterback that is a gunslinger. He's going to run around. He can beat you with his legs, and he also could beat you with your arm. If he sees one-on-one matchups, he's going to take advantage of that. And, you look at some of these throws he's made, I mean, they're NFL-type throws. You look at Washington State as a 10 personnel team that doesn't use a tight end, and you would think, maybe they don't run the air. I mean, they don't run the air raid, and you would think of them more as a soft team and things like that. But when you look at this film, nothing is soft about it. They have two running backs that, are NFL caliber running backs, and they'll run the ball and, they'll run past 50-50. Their O-line can do both very well. You look at them now on defense and up front, they're slanting, they're moving, they're twisting. So it could cause a problem, especially someone like us who like to throw the ball around a little. And, they create some problems up front for us. And then you have a fifth year starting a middle linebacker, and you have some corners with some length that can go up there and press guys and create problems for our receivers on the outside. So, we embrace the challenge that they present themselves. Some of the things that we have to make sure we do for our success is on defense, we have to tackle in space. That's key. We have to tackle in space. We have to be able to handle their slot receivers. We have to make sure we control and keep their quarterback in the pocket. We have to contain their running backs to where it's no explosive plays. That's the biggest thing on defense. We have to eliminate the explosive plays. And, that's where we're at, because they're definitely committed to running the football, and we have to make them more one-dimensional. On offense, as always, we have to take care of the football, right? We have to create explosive plays of our own, and we have to finish in the red zone. Right now we've been getting, get a good rate down in the red zone, but we've been kicking field goals. We're leaving 4 points on the board a lot that we have to make sure that this week that we go out there and get, and we have to be physical and run the ball effectively. I think, from last year to this year at this time, we're running the ball like 100 yards more per game, and we have to continue that. And, we want to make sure at the line of scrimmage that we're winning on both sides of the ball. And when it comes to special teams, we have to, like always, as a whole team, we have to make sure we commit no penalties. Right, that is key right now. We have to make sure we commit no penalties, and we have to win the field position battle. I think last week, we struggled a little bit when it comes to controlling the field. So those are keys to it. At the same time, we have to make sure we field every kick cleanly and start with the best field position possible, and we have to be physical.
Okay, we'll take some questions. Thank you, Donte. Again, raise your hand if you have them. We'll start with Ryan Young.
Good morning, Donte.
Morning.
What has surprised you about the extra responsibilities you have to take on this week? And what's been the biggest obstacle in getting a game plan ready to go?
Just time management. To be honest, that's been the biggest thing is, you don't know what you don't know. So, when you sit in this seat right now, you don't realize how much a head coach actually does when it comes to the media, when it comes to this different obligations, because it's different from controlling a position group to worrying about not just the team, but everyone in the organization, right? Making sure everyone's held accountable. And at the same time, making sure I'm held accountable myself. So, it's no time to waste. And really the most free time I've had is when practices ended and I had a chance to take a shower. So other than that, it's been nonstop, whether it's getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning and being right back up here at 5:30 in the morning. So it's, it's a quick turnaround. It's almost like I go home and I just basically take a shower and close my eyes and I'm right back at work. But I embrace that. And, this team embraces that. So, I guess the biggest challenge has been time management. At the same time, everything to do with recruiting has been enhanced.
You touched on it already, mentioning that Craig's doing some of the stuff with the cornerbacks, but how is that working? We saw you over there for at least a few minutes on Tuesday working with them. How is it working with that group?
I think it's been really good. I think it will enhance those guys, especially being in a room together and having more of making sure they're all on the same page, communication-wise, which I think will help us moving forward a lot. And, for me to even take a step back, and, I sat in one of the meetings for about 20, 30 minutes because I've taken a role of kind of sitting in everybody's position meetings. And it's not just to see what they're doing, it's more to just hear them and make sure I know what's going on, and that's why I said one day in Clay McGuire's room, the whole position meeting wise, just to hear what the O-line is saying. And my biggest thing is making sure I understand the offensive verbiage. Right. I know what I would do if I was playing our offense, but that's a whole different animal. And when you hear the verbiage and all the things that goes on, it's almost like I stepped in the room and they were speaking a different language. But, after you sit in here all day and watch cut-ups, you're starting to pick up on some of the things. And, I'm appreciative because the offense it took me in. And, every day it's like I'm learning football one-on-one. I feel like I'm a freshman again. So that has been a plus. And, sorry, my screen went black. And Craig has done an awesome job with those guys as far as teaching them and stuff like that. My GA, Aaron Williams, has been great when teaching them technique. And then I've still been able to step in some meetings with them also. So we've been working at, this together as a unit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Adam Grossbart.
Morning, Donte.
Morning.
Just given the week that this team has had, is there any benefit to going on the road and having that, hostile environment to have to respond to as a group?
I think it always is. I think, in life and in football, you have to embrace the suckiness. You have to embrace that. You have to embrace when everything is against you, when the chips are stacked against you. And I think right now this team embraces that. And I think, we're going to show the world on Saturday what we're all about. Just as being young men and, we do have some women in our organization. So just us being, as a unit, as a team and be able to, go on the road and show how united we are, I think it's major for us. And I think we're going to stick together and that's what we're going to do.
And then are there any just status on Nick Figueroa and Corey Foreman for Saturday?
I expect those guys to play. They've been in pads, all week. And so I expect those guys to go out there and give their all like they do every other Saturday. So that's all I can really say about their status.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, Keely.
Hey, Donte, I was just wondering, why is accountability responsible for team success, in your opinion?
I think all the little things matter. I think if all of a sudden a guy doesn't have a shirt tucked in, or if a guy has on a different color shirt and shows individuality, it's nothing to stop that person from being selfish on a particular play and creating a penalty, or, celebrating when he shouldn't celebrate, or doing something that's stupid and out of character. Because, people sometimes let emotion get the best of them. And emotion can make a smart person look dumb at times. So I think, just making sure we're all in uniform and how united we are as a family, I think you wouldn't do something to jeopardize not only yourself, but your brother if you're held accountable for the little things. And, daily we've been reminded in team meetings of how accountable these guys need to be in certain instances of their life. Because I think everything, all fits into one group. I think, how can you trust someone on the field if you can't trust them off the field? They go hand in hand. So it's no different than me. They got to trust me just as much as I have to trust them. And, I think a lot of these guys on this team, we already have a trust, but at the same time, we need to grow that, because part of being, trustful with someone is consistency. All it takes is one bad day out of 100, and sometimes you may lose trust in someone. So we have to be consistent with each other, and we have to be honest. And that's why it's a big thing for me when it comes to being accountable.
How do you instill that in week 3 in this position that you're in?
Well, we hit the reset button. So, and I don't think, everything here was, I think the structure was already in place here. And, for me to be able to take a step and, look at things always from kind of a little bit of the outside in, I think you just tweak a little thing here and a little thing there that I think you can instill anything in week 3, because the structure was already in place from Coach Helton.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay, Ryan Kirchie.
Good morning, Donte.
morning.
You obviously haven't had head coaching experience before. I mean, in terms of the in-game aspect of being the head coach, how do you approach that opportunity, just kind of balancing the granular aspects of the game that you might be, more used to focusing in on versus kind of the larger scale of the entire game and being responsible for every position group?
One thing, I'm fortunate that I have, great position coaches around me, great coordinators around me, and guys that, been doing it for a while. Whether it comes from Sean Snyder to Todd Orlando, you just go down the list. These are guys that's been around and know what they're doing. So, make sure that they lean on me as much as possible, just as much I'm leaning on them even more. So that's part of it. At the same time, putting myself in those situations as much as I can right now from watching film. Just certain things that's happened over the course of the season already or past years that people have been in those situations and what I would do. And, I try to look at certain scenarios and go as fast as I possibly can. And, right there in the heat of the moment, how can I make the call? And it's one thing to do it when you're fresh and it's noon in the day. I try to do those things as early as possible in the morning when I'm still a little tired, or as late as possible at night. So it puts me and my brain in a stressful state when I'm able to make those decisions. No different than all of a sudden you're at Washington State and you got all those fans going crazy. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I try to put myself in the most stressful situations possible and then just take it from there.
Was there a last time in which you were, obviously not at the college level, but like a head coach of, I don't know, some other team, like I'm not even sure, like what would have been the last time you might have been a head coach?
Head coach, I haven't been, but at the same time,
At
I've
any
been in
level.
places where, the new era game. And, I actually got an experience where I went to Japan and I coached for 12 days, right? They had a college all-star game for 12 days. And I was a defensive coordinator, but I might as well say I was also the head coach, because it was pretty much teaching them the American game. So like a lot of situations that happened there, I was able to do. And I've been fortunate enough that some of the past head coaches I've been around were, they respected me enough to take me in those particular meetings when they made those decisions. And, when they went and put together something for the game plan. So I have a great idea, but like I say, it's different when you're actually doing it in the actual game. So, I have some people I can lean on and some people I trust, and, I'm going to take it from there.
Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, Antonio, you're up.
Hey, Donte, you're obviously someone who takes a lot of pride in your recruiting. What's been your message to recruits at this time?
Well, my biggest message to recruits is, we're not about changing anything here. We're about enhancing everything here. And, the structure is still in place. And, hopefully they still give us a chance at USC, and at the same time about outworking everyone else. A lot of people sometimes, in my opinion, slack when the season starts. Everybody was recruiting everyone hard in the spring and the summer. But now, since during the season, everyone's worried about only their particular team. I think recruiting is still 1/3 of the job. I mean, of course, you got to take care of your own team right now, which is, the X's and O's part and making sure these guys are doing the right thing. But also developing your players, that's another 1/3 of the job. And then the other 1/3 is recruiting. I mean, we have a lot of great players on our team that after the season will leave. And if those guys leave, you have to be able to replace them. And no matter what, USC is still USC. Still a great academic school, still a great city, right? Still a great alum. So we're going to make sure that we keep, the train on the tracks and keep this thing rolling.
How do you keep the rest of the staff engage in that front when there's so much uncertainty about their future?
These guys are pros. Like there's no other way around it. They're pros. You know, a lot of these guys have been through this before. This is not their first rodeo. When you're at USC, you just didn't start coaching yesterday. You've done something great to get to this particular spot. You know, so these guys have been around. They have a lot of mentors in themselves, and you know, it has not been a problem at all about making sure they conduct their business.
Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, let's jump down to shotgun.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna grab
Well
it
done.
quick so my phone doesn't die on you all.
Donte, what does the defense need to do to limit the explosive plays, particularly in the pass game where your former unit struggled last weekend?
You know, they have some explosive guys, especially in the slot and the receivers, but most importantly, we have to be able to play the ball down the field because they're going to throw it and they're going to heave it up, and they have some guys that are big time guys when it comes to making plays on the ball. So our biggest thing is making sure that, you know, we have a plan in place to, for one, make sure we're able to play the ball in the air, but also be able to tackle in space because, you know, they're a great team, and especially when it comes to the passing game, and they're going to make some catches. And when they make the catches, we just have to eliminate the yak. You know, we can't have guys have explosive plays after the catch. So I think that's the biggest thing right now to make sure those guys focus.
And then how difficult is the transition for the defense going from so many multiple heavy looks of Stanford to Washington State's 4 and 5 wides?
This is the Pac-12. So, you know, every team is a little different. So it's no different than what we had to do last year with different teams on our schedule and what they did the year before. So I don't think it's as big a problem people think, because it's what you do when you come to this conference. Like every team is a little different and you have to be able to adjust.
Okay, we'll jump back to Ryan Young. We have time for maybe two questions here.
Building off that, Donte, ITS had a rough game last week. What's been your biggest message or point of teaching to him this week?
You know, to be honest, those guys, they play on an island, and you can have a rough game, but your confidence can never be shaken, right? So, and for what some people may think of it as a bad game, you know, when you're out there for 60, 70 plays covering, you know, a guy that's 6'5", 6'6", he's going to make a couple plays. So it's all about what you do next. And, you know, right now you have to not worry about what happened last game. You kind of got to move on and make those corrections. And this is a whole different game against a whole different type of receiver. So I think he'll be more than prepared.
And real fast, going back to the recruiting stuff, how have you found time to even do that this week?
That's 1/3 of the job. So you may not have time. You find time, whether it's me when I wake up at 5 a.m. to make sure I contact guys on the East Coast, or it's at nighttime when I'm contacting guys on the West Coast. But I find time. It does not matter where it is. Recruiting, everybody, you know, thinks it's all day and it's 24/7. I think recruiting is 25/7. So you have to almost make an hour in the day, but that's something that will never stop.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I see no more questions, and I know we've used up our time with Donte. We appreciate you joining us, Coach. Media, we appreciate you being here this morning, and we hope to see many of you at Washington State. And so with that, have a great day.
Thank you. If I don't